dollar. Dirt and money, no soul. Had to go and get it, ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack of flip for my foes. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar. Let me watch out for my partners. Keep my money long, get my team strong. Let me run away from my problems.
Yup, let's get original crew, man. We're back. He got a Ballen. We got a missing 411. 3 kids found in impossible places. Now here we go with all the stupid people in the comments that want to come for me. Y'all,
What the?
just every time we do a missing 411.
Don't worry about it.
These, potheads. These, I don't know.
Just let them talk.
Shout out to the potheads because most of them try to tune into the funny stuff. They be high laughing. You know what I'm saying? I rock out with the high laugh. Even though I don't smoke, people still be thinking.
I'm writing.
People still be thinking we be getting high watching and stuff. Like, no, I don't. I never smoked a day in my life. But we got, people that like, I don't know. But somebody commented one time and said, this channel went through some of his missing 411 video and broken down to how all of these stories can be solved. And I was like, oh, for real. Somebody literally said
that's a lot of time.
And they had logical reasoning behind it. I don't know. Whoever that is, come in the comment section again, let us know, and I'll go check it out. But they did say all these should be debunked. Just I would I pay attention to newly discovered when we have reacted to some, but I watch them of my own as well. Yeah. Some of the cold cases that has been solved after 20, 30, 40 years and always had a logical explanation. Or say for instance that couple that was out of New York went missing back in the 80s. Where were they found?
The one that was found in the lake behind the hotel?
The pond.
Oh, the pond behind the hotel.
Never would have thought. But then they checked. One dude was just checking the water, and with the sonar, and found the car that was at the bottom of the pond. And so happened it was an old couple that had went missing. They didn't know where they were, but they was missing. They found them in Georgia. It was in Georgia, but they had been missing out of New York. They had traveled to Florida. And people believe they had been robbed, but only thing he drove into. Yeah. Which is sad.
Very much so.
But sometimes, what we think is more deeper than what it is could be very logical. Sometimes it doesn't have to be such a wild, crazy thought of what happened. Sometimes things happen and it's literally right there in your eye. Yeah. And they never searched the pond.
Never did. That's why I was like...
And they had to drain the pond to remove the car.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. But hey, make sure y'all check out the links in the description box.
Down below.
You already know where to go. If you want the first part, you got to do it. Check out down below. Also, if you enjoyed today's visuals.
Like it with a thumbs up.
What's that dive team? It's a dive team on YouTube. They also do that. They go and they have solved several cases where of missing people. They just seem as though they vanished off the face of the earth, and they've been wrecked off and went into waters and been trapped down there for years, 20, 30 years, man. But let's go. Let's check it out. Let's see what's about. You ready?
I'm ready.
Let's get it.
Every year, hundreds of people go missing inside of national parks and forests all over North America. Of those hundreds, every year, there's always a few that go missing under very strange circumstances. And one man, whose name is Jaryd Atadero, who's a former police detective, has made it his mission to investigate these strange disappearances. We're talking about people that are in plain sight of other people, that suddenly, in an instant, go missing, and there's absolutely no trace of them. It's like they've just vanished off the earth. In other cases, it's people that have gone missing and then are found in locations that are seemingly impossible to get to. And so these cases are explored under Jaryd Atadero Missing 411. He's written numerous books, created documentaries around it. And so today I'm going to focus on 3 of these Missing 411 cases that, in my opinion, are especially bizarre. and worth a closer examination. If the missing 411 phenomenon is something you want to look into more closely, I would obviously tell you to go check out David Paulides and his team. I have all their links in the description. But you can also just go to one of my playlists. It's just called Missing 411, and I put any episode that I do about Missing 411 in that playlist. And so far, this is the 4th. And if you are a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, then you come to the right channel, because that's all I do on this channel. And I upload 3 to 4, even 5 times every week. So if that's something that you're interested in, I would encourage you to gently mule kick the like button and then subscribe to my channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of those awesome weekly uploads. All right, let's get into today's stories. In 1999, Alfred Atadero was staying in the Comanche wilderness in northern Colorado with his 2 kids. He had his daughter, who was 6 years old, her name was Jocelyn, and his son, Jaryd, who was 3 at the time. They were staying at the Poudre River Resort, which Allen actually owned. He co-owned it with his identical twin brother, and Allen was up there to prepare the resort for winter. Allen had recently divorced from his wife and joined a Christian singles group, and somehow it came up that some people in the singles group asked if they could stay at the Poudre River Resort with Allen and help him prepare the resort for winter in exchange for free lodging so they could have a little vacation. Allen said that was great because he really needed the help. As soon as they got up there, 11 of the Christian singles members were talking about going to the nearby state fish hatchery. Jaryd and Jocelyn had heard about this and were really eager to go with them, and they asked their father, Allen, if that would be okay. Allen felt comfortable with Jocelyn, his 6-year-old, going, but was reluctant to send Jaryd because he was 3, was worried that, he would lag behind, and was just generally reluctant to send his youngest. But Jaryd really wanted to go, and Jaryd was saying, well, you let Jocelyn go, I want to go. Allen, maybe against his better judgment, said, yep, you can take Jaryd. Jaryd hated wearing shoes. Jaryd said, can I leave my shoes? And Allen said, no, you got to bring your shoes. And Jaryd really put up a fight. He didn't want to wear his shoes. Allen said, okay, put on your shoes, we just won't tie them. That's the compromise they made. Put on his shoes, didn't tie them, and he was off. So the Christian singles group of 11 plus Jocelyn and Jaryd take off towards the state fish hatchery. But without asking for Allen's consent, instead of going to the state fish hatchery, they decided to head over to the Big South Trail, which was about 15 miles west of the resort where Allen was.
15
We
miles
did
west?
what? 15 miles west.
No. And they're walking. Bitch, no. My 3-year-old?
My 6-year-old, my 3-year-old, my kids with strangers, period. I don't care if this is a Christian group. I don't care. You still don't know.
I ain't gonna hold you. A 3-year-old, you never let, and a 6-year-old, you don't let out your sight.
I'm not letting my kids.
If you're a parent. Now, if they were 16 and 13, cool. I'll let y'all. You know what I'm saying? I'll still be a little reluctant.
Oh,
you gonna be one of those.
I will still be reluctant because at the end of the day, these are strangers. You don't know. It'll be different. Like if this, like people, and this is your family. These are people in a group that you don't know like that. Like I'm not doing it.
Well, he probably knows somebody. See, you
not know. Enough to be let my kids go. Man, what? This was wrong, folks. Mm-hmm.
I went places without my parents at 13.
We're talking about a 3 and a 6-year-old.
I said, but you didn't hear what I said. I said if they were 13 and 16, then yeah, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'll let them go. You said I steal.
I said I would be reluctant because.
But I said I went places without my parents at 13,
I got you,
and I'm here today.
That's cool. That's cool. Things. That's cool, baby.
They get to the beginning of this trail, which is an 11-mile, very rugged trail. Narrow path. It's fairly steep. You're going up almost 10,000 feet of elevation. This was a rugged hike. This was not a beginner's hike. Now, we don't know exactly what the timeline is here, but we know that Jaryd and Jocelyn were definitely with the Christian singles group when they began this hike. Because at some point, the Christian singles broke into like a fast group and a slow group. And during that time, when they kind of separated into 2 groups, Jaryd had somehow run ahead of one of the groups and had come in contact with these two fishermen that were on the Big South Trail. The Big South Trail was located near a world-class fly fishing area, and these two men were fly fishing. And they saw Jaryd, and they also saw these two groups of people making this climb on this trail, and they, the fishermen, assumed that he had to be with them. Jaryd walked up to them and said, "Hey, have you seen any bears in the area?" And they said, "No." And Jaryd just skipped away.
Also, if I'm allowing my kids to go with somebody, you are to see after my child. This shit just don't make damn sense. Cause y'all walking just like la 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 la. The kid to keep up. And who wants to walk 15 miles with a 3-year-old? You know what I'm saying? A 3-year-old gonna be very adventurous, want to drift off. You have to keep ties on them. That's like my little niece, 4-year-old. Mm-hmm. You think I'm finna walk 15 miles with her? Would you walk 15 miles with her? I wouldn't even walk a mile with her. Cause she gonna be annoying the whole month. I'm tired. Can you pick me up? Like, hey, you too big. No. Like, no, not a 3-year-old, see.
Bears in the area. And they said, no. And Jaryd just skipped away. It's believed that the two fishermen that saw Jaryd on the trail were the last two people to see Jaryd alive. At some point shortly after Jaryd has made contact with these two fishermen, the singles group realizes they've lost track of Jaryd. They have Jocelyn, but they've lost sight of Jaryd. And so there's an immediate search of the area. They're yelling out to Jaryd. And after about an hour, they haven't found him. However, one of the Christian singles members hears a scream. It was not a scream of someone getting attacked, but rather it was way off, off the trail. It sounded like a child who they would describe the scream as sounding gleeful, like they were playing with someone, like they were playing tag or hide and seek with someone. They tried to make it over to that area, but they couldn't locate where the sound was coming from. And despite yelling out for Jaryd constantly, they could never locate him. While this search is going on, one of the members leaves and goes back to the resort to break the news to Alan, Jaryd's father. Alan immediately gets in his car. He's yelling, "You lost my baby." And he drives over to the Big South Trail. Now, Alan just assumed he'd be able to get out and just charge around like a maniac, yelling for his son, and he would find him. But he quickly realizes that this is a really rugged and very dense area. It's going to be almost impossible for he alone to search and find his son. He calls authorities, and authorities show up, and they launch this massive search. Now, the search and rescue crew, when they showed up, they were very confident that they were going to find Jaryd. They felt like they had a really good sense of where he was, that it would have been very difficult for him to go anywhere. They had the fishermen saying they had seen him. They had one of the members who heard a scream in a specific area. They've done these searches, unfortunately, many times, and most times they find the child hiding somewhere, crying somewhere, but they're unhurt. By the next day, after a full 24 hours of searching, when they haven't found anything, that's when the search and rescue team began to realize that more than likely this was not going to be a successful search. Now, the search would go on for a week. It was a very chaotic search. The case had made national headlines, and so people were converging on this area in Colorado just to kind of be a witness to this case. You had volunteers showing up left and right to help search, and police had to actually keep them from going into the area because they didn't want to clutter up the search area. So it's just very chaotic. And also during this time, a helicopter crashed that was searching for Jaryd. Luckily, no one perished in that crash, but it was just this crazy search for about a week, and they don't find anything. A week after the search had begun, they officially called it off, and the going theory was that Jaryd had most likely been attacked by a mountain lion. 4 years go by, and two hikers were in the same area on the Big South Trail, walking up the trail, and they decide when they got to this one section near where Jaryd went missing, there was this really steep, rocky climb that was not part of the trail. But if you wanted to, and you were adventurous and athletic enough, it's feasible that you could crawl up, hands and knees all the way up this rocky face, and you could get to this rocky outcropping where you'd have this great view looking down over the canyon. And so these two hikers decide to do that. So they start climbing up this rocky slope that they would say is a treacherous climb. And actually, David Paulides, the man behind the Missing 411 project, does a video where he climbs up that rocky face, and it looks very steep and difficult to navigate. So these two hikers make it to this outcropping. And the first thing they notice is a pair of brand new children's sneakers, white sneakers. And as soon as they see it, they think, oh, I guess a family must be up here, and they let their kid take their shoes off. And so they're looking around for the family that must have just been adventurous and climbed up here, but there's no one up there, and it's a small area. And they're like, huh, what are these shoes doing up here? Then they found bits of Jaryd's clothing near the shoes. His pants were found turned inside out, very completely turned inside out. His sweatshirt was more or less intact. Both the sweatshirt and the pants had all the signs of being out in the open for 4 years with, weather hitting hard and being exposed to the elements. They were frayed and tattered. The shoes had also apparently been out in the elements for 4 years, but showed almost no wear and tear. The hikers that found them literally thought they were brand new shoes. And then around that area, they also located one of Jaryd's teeth, and they found a bone that belonged to Jaryd as well. So it really begs the question, how did Jaryd get up nearly 550 feet above the trail over extremely difficult to navigate terrain? And why were his shoes completely unweathered after 4 years of being out in the elements? And why were his shoes up there in the first place? They were untied on his feet. He certainly would not have been able to navigate the terrain up there even with his shoes laced. But if he had been navigating that terrain, he almost certainly would have lost his shoes in the process. So we don't know what actually led to Jaryd's demise. However, we do know that somehow he was found, his remains were found in an area that was effectively inaccessible to him.
Wow.
Could it have been a mountain lion? Could have drug his body up the mountain? They are mountain lions. They can carry things in their mouth. I do believe it was an animal attack, though. Because even if the clothes were found inside out, could have, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Pulled the clothes off of them. But did the clothes have teeth marks, bite marks, things like that? We don't know. The shoe situation, it's kind of weird and bizarre. But it does show signs that it was out in the same conditions within the 4 years. But I don't know the process of how shoes deteriorate out in the open compared to clothing.
Yeah,
I don't know that aspect of it.
But I'm still stuck on him even being there, even going at 3. But hey, everybody's different. But that's just a sad and unfortunate situation because no one is ever going to look after your kids like you would look after your kids.
Facts.
So, that's just sad.
And after that, the main people that are going to protect your kids is first you, the parent, because that is your offspring. After that, maybe the grandparents. Because the grandparents, this is my grandbabies. Some grandparents are overprotected than others. Then after that, maybe auntie and uncle. Beyond that, nobody. It's just another child. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because some aunties and uncles going to treat the child like it's theirs.
Yeah. And it's just even more sad. I know you found clothing and a bone and teeth and stuff like that. But it's just the unknown of not knowing what happened to your child.
And being able to recruit all the remains.
That too. Because
there's only a few remains that was left over, not all. And then just imagine the suffering and pain the child did go through. Yeah. That's a horrible way to go out for anyone, let alone even at 3, a baby. That's a baby. I wouldn't have went on it. If you don't want to go on it, the kids don't go on it. Yeah. If the kids want to go, you like, but let me give in. You know what I'm saying? Let me go. Because if you're going to let them go, you got to go too. You don't just let them go and say, whew, they have my hair for a little.
And also, the fact that y'all even changed locations. Y'all was supposed to be going to a different location than what y'all actually ended up going to. That alone, I would never, 1, I wouldn't let my kids go. And then 2, you don't take kids, if you tell, like, say for instance, the parents like do agree to let their kids go, you're like, hey, we're going here, and then y'all switch up and not let the parent know, like, hey, we switch plans and we'll be here just in case something happens.
I'll bring my child
whatever
back before y'all go on that 15
or like
mile
I would
walk.
have maybe changed my mind because I know maybe that area is a little bit different than where y'all was supposed to go. Like, it's just a lot. Like,
No,
it's
my
just a
kid
no for me all around.
Yeah. Because if you like you did say, if y'all gonna relocate and change where y'all going, don't just automatically assume everybody's okay with it. Mm-hmm. Because I was okay with this, I might not have been okay with that. Mm-hmm. You see, if y'all knew y'all were gonna reroute, hey, maybe we need to take the kids back.
Yeah.
In July of 1938, the Beilhartz family decided to go camping deep in the Rocky Mountains. Now, the Beilhartz family was a huge family. They had 10 kids, including Alfred, who was a 4-year-old boy. One of the days they were camping, they decided to go on a hike to a great fishing spot. And so they got in this big line with all 10 kids and the parents, and they start walking, and Alfred was far back in that line. And at some point, he must have wandered off or got separated, and at some point, the family noticed. There was an immediate preliminary search, and there's a bunch of them. They're calling out to their son, their brother. After this initial search results in nothing, one of the members of the family alerts authorities, and it would launch a 10-day search. When the authorities showed up, they were operating under the assumption that Alfred must have fallen into the river and drowned. And so their efforts went into not only damming the river to stop anything going through, but they also began raking the river as well to find any of Alfred's remains. When the raking of the river and the damming of the river turned up nothing, the authorities decided to bring in some bloodhounds from a nearby state penitentiary to try to pick up his scent and find him. And so they bring the bloodhounds over to where he went missing, and right away they pick up his scent. And then, somewhat paradoxically, instead of going down to the river where all the authorities assume that's where he must have gone, the dogs turned and went up this near sheer cliff. They went over 500 feet uphill to this clearing on the mountain, this little plateau on the mountain, and then they just laid down as if they had found him. The authorities assumed this was an anomaly. There's no way this child could have gotten up nearly 500 feet to that plateau, not to mention there was no sign of the child up there anyways. So they just assumed that the dogs must be wrong. So they sent those dogs back and got new bloodhounds to do the same test. And so they brought the new bloodhounds to the point where Alfred had vanished, and they did the same thing. They didn't go down to the river. They followed the exact same trail all the way up, nearly 500 feet up to that plateau where they laid down to signify this is where the scent ends. And it was baffling because there was nothing up there to indicate that he was there or ever was there. But now you have two groups of bloodhounds that did the same thing. You can't say his scent wasn't up there because the dogs found it twice. So at the same time this search is going on, a report came in from another hiker that was about 6 miles away, less than 24 hours after he had gone missing. And the report from this hiker was he was sitting down to take a rest, and he looked up towards this mountain. And about 500 feet up, he saw a little rocky outcropping, and a boy walked out to the edge and looked down at him. And the man looked up, like, how did the boy get up there? And the child let out a shrill, shrieking sound before something that was out of view pulled him backwards, and then he was never seen again. And so he reported it, and the authorities dismissed it, because how could a 4-year-old boy have moved 6 miles away and 500 feet up to this rocky outcrop?
It's 1938 too. You gotta think, bro. The knowledge and understanding and the common sense ain't knocking back then.
I'm not gonna hold you. Every time I hear stories from like back in the day, like this time, like in the, I'm like, man, everybody was a little off, man.
No, they lack study, they lack knowledge.
That's what I think when I hear it, but I'm like, yeah, it is because of lack of knowledge and lack of study, lack of information, lack of just like everything. Yeah. Like, but I do be like in my head, because I just be upset that things are like being reported or people say this. You're like, no, y'all just brush it off. Or like, no, that can't be. Like, just because your mind can't fathom, something like that happening. The
logical aspect of the time period.
But so many things, like just like bizarre things, you be like,
and the lack of understanding and scouring the area to understand what type of animals that could be in the area. Because a lot of times you got to think about it. So how old is the child?
He's 4, yeah.
A mountain lion can get a 4-year-old up a mountain with no problem.
That is so sad. Yeah.
However, authorities did send a team to go search that area where this hiker had seen this child, and there was nothing there. So you have these two separate locations, one near where Alfred disappeared about 500 feet up on a seemingly inaccessible rocky outcropping where the bloodhounds had taken his scent to, and then it vanished. And then 6 miles away, you have another sighting of a boy that matches Alfred's description that's another 500 feet up on a rocky outcropping that's seemingly inaccessible to a child. And that's all we have. Alfred was never found.
Wow.
Oh, wow. That sucks, bro.
And honestly, when you think
Parents
about
had
it...
no answers.
Facts. And honestly, when you think about it, you know, if it's an animal that drug him off, that snatched him back, a 4-year-old... A 4-year-old weighing however much little,
literally.
yeah, like not that much. Like that animal could have took him anywhere.
Oh yeah, 6 miles away.
But... So in areas that you wouldn't even, like y'all not even searching.
Yeah,
so,
true.
You know what I'm saying? So
true. The remains could be
anywhere at this point. Yeah,
that's scary and sad, bro. That's the reason why man, I'm not a wilderness person. I understand, like say for instance, I would put my child in Boy Scouts and stuff, like, you know what I'm saying. If I got a son, put him in Boy Scouts and stuff, just so he can kind of, if that's something he's into, like gravitate to it. Like, hey, yeah, me myself not into it. I remember like staying out in the wilderness with boys. I learned that at a young age. The outdoors, that type of lifestyle ain't for me. It is what it is. I enjoyed it
when I was in Girl Scouts.
It is what it is, bro. Like, but I will say for safety tactics and because you never know what you might need as far as knowledge and understanding. Yeah. I would want them to have some type of knowledge when it comes down to that. Even though I don't have the knowledge, it needs to be somewhere. But it just... And
also with kids, like, I understand you they had 10 kids.
But not at 4.
They had 10 kids, but I'm just like, with the child being so young and being at the back of the crowd, it's just anything can happen. Somebody, an animal could have came and snatched them in, like being,
I wonder what, like, the age was, because he didn't say if he was the youngest, did he?
I don't think he said. He just said that him.
10.
Maybe he did say that he was. I don't know, but I can't remember for sure.
10 kids is a lot of kids, man.
That's
that's a lot of kids to keep up with on some parents on some real spill. And we wonder why society we don't have people don't have kids like that.
They do. Not to the degree as far as
they do be having
many, but people, they still be having kids like that.
But in this economy, let's not. In this economy,
like I just told you about the person I know, and I'm like.
But in this economy, you can't. Like that's stress. That's beyond stress.
Some people want a big family, but yeah.
Yeah, ain't nothing wrong with having a big family. Big family, 3 kids. It's five mouths to feed, man. Like that's a lot, bro. Let alone a parent, 2 parents, right, with 10 kids. Like, think about your mom, your grandma in this economy. Did your grandma work?
Yeah, she worked at the post office.
Oh, I thought because your granddad was in the military.
My grandma was a hustler. No, she worked though.
Was she really a hustler? Or she just
no, she. No,
your granddad did not. He was a hustler.
No, she worked. She did other stuff too, but yeah, she definitely worked. She worked at the post office.
I didn't know that part, but I did know about your granddad's military backing and
my
all
grandma
that.
had 11 kids, by the way,
and traveling and moving here.
Yeah.
In August of 1897, 2 parents and their 6-year-old daughter named Lillian went berry picking in Maine. The section of Maine they were in was only 15 miles away from the Canadian border, and it was very, very densely forested. At some point, the parents noticed that Lillian wasn't with them anymore. They assumed she must have wandered a couple feet away. Maybe she was behind a tree. But after an hour of searching, where they can't believe they're not seeing any trace of their daughter. I mean, they're in the middle of nowhere where if you yell out, someone's going to hear you, but there was no response from their daughter. They can't find her anywhere, so they alert authorities. Hundreds and hundreds of people came out for this search. The family is distraught. They're offering these huge rewards for any information about their daughter. You have all these very experienced outdoorsmen and huntsmen that are going out and looking for this girl. There is nothing. She has vanished completely. During this whole ordeal, friends and family would stay out in the woods overnight. They would just stay out there yelling and calling for Lillian, and she never turned up. About 48 hours after Lillian disappeared, there was a group of people searching an area about 2 to 3 miles away from where Lillian had gone missing. And Lillian just walks out from behind a tree, perfectly calm, doesn't look harmed, and she's just asking for her mother. There's this amazing reunion. It's a miracle that she's been found. I mean, this is 2 days that she's been missing in the middle of rural northern Maine. I mean, anything could have happened to her, but she's here, she's alive. When they asked the girl, what happened? Where'd you go? Why did you walk away? Like, what happened? She said something that piqued David Paulides' interest, and this is why this became a part of the Missing 411 project. She said, the sun shined all the time in the woods. The problem with that is while she was missing, it was overcast, dark, dreary, and she was in a very dense forest where there was, even if it really had been a very sunny day, you're not getting much sunlight coming down to the forest floor. So why would she...
How old's the child? Why are you trying to hide?
I'm not trying to hide. I was trying to write more.
How old's the child?
He didn't say. I don't think he said.
We need the age, bro. Can kids hallucinate?
The sun shines all the time in the forest. I mean, I guess anyone can hallucinate.
Or is that something she just always kept telling herself? Cute.
I don't know.
Cause that could be from a book or something. A story her mom.
She described something as being sunny the whole time in the woods, when in reality, there was almost no sunlight. She also claimed that over the 2 days she was missing, she heard people talking around where she was. But she said that she needed to stay quiet because of the tramps that would be upset if she made any sound. It's just a very strange story, and like every other missing 411 case, there really isn't a good, rational explanation for why it happened. While David Paulides does not come out and say explicitly what he believes is behind all these strange occurrences inside of these missing persons cases, the insinuation or implication of his research is that something paranormal is behind it. So I'd like to hear what you think is behind some of these strange disappearances. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more like it, I would encourage you to...
I wonder, the voices she kept hearing were people looking for her. But she was afraid.
She said yeah.
And she possibly also kept telling herself, it's sunny. Like, it could be something that she shared between her and her mom, or her like parents and stuff like that. That could have been a saying.
Just like a comforting thing.
Yeah, because like parents do come up with like certain sayings.
Yeah.
Especially if they always like go camping and stuff like that.
Like, I just want to chalk it up to something, nice and positive, which that is nice about that she was found.
Yeah.
Like, that's
at least she was found.
Yeah, this is a good ending,
Because the second child wasn't found at all, so I don't know why he's in 3 kids found in impossible places.
I mean, technically,
he was supposedly spotted, but not found.
Oh, because they never found his remains or anything.
They never found anything. He was
anything.
supposedly spotted, but they never found him.
And I guess it was like a sighting of him, possibly.
Nobody said spotted.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, but yeah.
But I don't know, man. That last story, she could have heard like the people looking for her. Yeah. She was just like kind of startled,
and she knew it wasn't her parents' voice, and she didn't know like these are strangers' voices.
Because not too long ago, there was a story reported of these kids that went missing and they were found in the woods, coming outside the woods, and the sheriff went in and said, "Hey kids, we've been looking for you," but they were little kids. They were probably about 4 and 5. They had wandered off into the woods, and this had been raining and damp, and when they were gone for like, I want to say about 48 hours, and they were still like, they just was starving because they hadn't ate anything, and they.
But yeah. Yeah.
I do remember that.
The first 2 stories definitely sad. The last one,
at least it was a happy ending.
Yeah. I'm glad she was found.
I don't care what kind of things. Maybe because we don't have an age. So say for instance, she like 5 or 6. She has some type of memorization of it, and maybe she's able to let her parents know what happened, and they probably know what happened. David Paulides, you probably don't know because you know what I'm saying. They never reported back to the police. They probably, as long as our kids safe,
that's all
like,
that matters.
We don't care about nothing else. The daughter probably later on told the parents what happened to her, what happened, like that information. We won't know. We won't be privy to the information, but hey. I don't care as long as the child 100% safe, no harm was done, nothing foul was done. Happy ending.
Happy ending. Yep.
But hey, man, y'all spam us up in the comments. Y'all let us know y'all thoughts in the position. Y'all let us know your thoughts and opinions about it in the comment section down below. Until next time, y'all know how it go, man. I do go to
Babe.
I do go with the name DJ New Kid. This is
Sierra Nicole.
We are.
Kid and C.
We are.
Peace.
Ain't no time to kick it, gotta stack a flip for my foes. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me.